Alright, what's going on, other people on the other side of the screen, however I'm supposed to say that sentence. So this is the one that Alexis wanted me to look at, so, we're gonna take a look at it. I'm assuming that I'm only talking to Alexis right now, but who knows, maybe more people are curious, maybe more people want learning. So one of the things that I'm gonna keep in mind, Alexis, is that you kind of wanna, like, most of you guys honestly wanna kind of like flex between multiple things on the team nights. So I'm gonna be looking to try to encourage you guys to flex around, because at the end of the day, I really do just want you to kind of like learn the game a little bit more. So if you just wanna holistically play, that's fine. So one of the things that I've been concerned about in the past, and I'm a little bit concerned about right here, is your positioning. So unfortunately, as Ana, you're not a Moira, right? So they're not punishing it here, and it's not. Oh, your positioning isn't always going to be what I'm describing right now, but more often than not, it will be. But you're gonna want to play from. Hold on, let you actually tick up first, because this shit's annoying. All right, bet. Okay, so you're going to want to play from positioning that's further away from your team. So on this map, it's a little bit wonky, right? Because there's nowhere that you can really play with space from your team. But more often than not, you're going to be playing kind of like these corners here. The main idea is that you have the ability to rotate around the corner to change the line of sight between you and the enemy, right? So essentially what it would look like is if you were playing here, you could still heal your team there, but if somebody showed up behind you, you could push forward and to the side and force them onto the point to have to see you. Or if somebody showed up in front of you to try to pressure you, you could rotate back and run to your team this way, or run to the mini, and you have different options, right? The idea is that you want to play near somewhere that you're not depending on other people as much to always save you, because as much as you want to work with your team, right, there's going to be many situations where you have to be someone who's hard to kill in order to get value. And the main reason is because if we constantly have to spend resources peeling for you, then we have less resources to put less resources to put in other places. That was a weird other where? What the fuck? Anyway, so the best autos are always going to be really hard to kill because they use these kind of fundamentals of positioning. One, they're near pieces of cover that they can block line of sight to the enemy. Two, they're near a mini health pack. And then three, they have wide line of sight where they can see their team for majority of the map or a good portion of the map. Now what this winds up doing is it requires your team to play in your sight line more often than not, which means they're limited in how aggressive or forward that they could play. But as Ana, you create this great safety area where as long as your team play within a certain zone, they will likely not die. As long as you hit your shots and they don't play stupid, they'll just won't die in that space. So it's really important that we understand what Ana's good at. She's a long range support. She's a sniper, and we want to be using this to the best of our potential. Now the reason we care about this here is because they have characters like Winston, Doomfist, and Reaper, who are going to be looking to attack the cluster of people, hit your tanks, spray them down, slowly chunk at the main body of everybody, and you're going to be getting hit with a lot of kind of tick damage, which will require a lot of resources from the team to protect you all the time. It'll require your other support to be constantly aware of your health. It'll require you to nade your feet almost instantaneously every time. It's just going to put a lot of more pressure on you than it's really going to need to. So I don't know if that's necessarily what's going to happen here, because like I've said in other VODs, and like I'm probably going to be saying all day, the things that happen in your ranks do not define the things that will happen in scrims and in other games, because we're going to be playing against better people. Papa John's, no, sorry, that my brain went hard tangent there. No, but we're going to be playing against better people, and it's going to be easier for them to punish these mistakes that you're making, that you may not have noticed that you're making them because you're not playing against people who are very good. But these are also the things that sometimes prevent you from climbing, because as soon as you get somebody in your game who deserves to be in the next rank above you, all they're going to do is abuse your poor positioning, and they're going to be like, yeah, I'm better than this plat player because I'm a diamond player. That's why you're not a diamond player, Alexis, because your positioning doesn't stop you. It doesn't shut down the people who are still climbing towards diamond, which means you don't climb towards diamond. You're not playing above your rank, you're playing in your rank. The situations where you're going to want to play really, really clustered to your team is when they have like Widow and stuff like that, where playing far is just like you're just the inferior sniper, you know? Or other like really, really tight maps. That's really hard for you to get value in. Like this is a small map, but there's good positioning where you don't have to play on top of your team. Like, no, look, now that you're on top of your team, if that Coalescence had been a little bit better, if she had known how to use it a little bit better, you would have been hit with that whole Coalescence and probably would have died. Your positioning also demands that you tunnel vision the tanks, which is fine, but it gives you poor line of sight on the fight, and it means you can't control the engagement as much as you might like, because you can't see who really needs healing more than anyone else. You have to keep like turning around in order to see your team. Your mechanics are iffy, but I think it's because you're like flicking every shot. You're not letting your reticle rest on something and track it naturally. Like every shot is a flick. It's very like you're wavering around a lot. This is one of the reasons that you don't want to just be throwing your cooldowns out off cooldown. Because if you had sleep there, it's very obvious, and I think you could tell that that Reaper wanted to ult. Less so obvious that the Genji wanted to ult because he came out of fucking nowhere. But you would have been able to try to sleep at least one of those targets to try to, you know, give your team a fighting chance. And these are really the fights that it's like, these are the fights that you have in your control, right? So let's say if there's like 10 fights in a game, you really have like 2 or 3 fights under your control that you have to win for your team. And as a support, how you win those fights sometimes is by shutting down the enemies, which for me personally isn't preferable all the time. I like to just be able to click on people. But, you know, if you're able to sleep that Reaper, then maybe your Lucio doesn't die. And if your Lucio doesn't die, maybe he keeps, you know, the other people, he keeps you alive, or he keeps somebody else alive, or, you know, he boops that, I don't know. There's plenty of like chain of event things that could be happening, but you at least have to do your part to stop the enemies from doing what they want to do. And right now you're just kind of letting them get away with whatever they want, because you're throwing your abilities out into the ether and using them to try to win fights, air quotes, without actually putting them into the right places, right? What's the difference between sleeping that Sigma and sleeping the Reaper who's about to ult? Well, the Reaper who's about to ult is going to win the fight for his team, while the Sigma, you know, he was just going to spam a little bit and maybe poke you down. Big Emp, big Emp. I don't know. Okay, I wanna just take a. I don't know how that nano got through to Jax. When Tat and Luna just keep getting absolutely ruined in their sleeps and nanos and everything. Oh my god. If you've watched any of the replays with us, they get so messed up by somebody being, you know, like within the range of the map. Dinky, going to town. Nice. Big. That sleep would have hit, but you didn't account for the fact that it was going to lift you up, so you didn't account for your movement there. Alright. So, I am going to stop here. I want you to focus on two things first, right? One is going to be your overall positioning, because I think that this is something that I've seen on other maps too, maps that are bigger than this, but I think you can also see it a little bit on this map, that your positioning is way too close to your team most of the time. You have to start finding positionings that you can rotate to that are a little bit wider. I think I think you watch ML7, so maybe take note a little bit more of his positioning when he's just full like pocketing his team and healing, if you do that stuff already. But try to be conscious of the fact that you're very close to your team most of the time, and try to see where you could back up to. Try to see how much space you can give your tanks and stuff like that. And then the other thing I want you to do is I want you to have more discipline with your cooldowns and abilities. I want you to use your sleep with the intent to hit someone specific, not just throw it into a mass of people and hit anybody. I want you to use your anti or your bionade in general to specifically either save someone, like burst them up from low health, or to anti a target who's actually a priority to be antied, like a Roadhog or a Reaper or something like that, I want you to kind of work on these two things. Hopefully I get to upload this on today, Friday, and you can watch it today before we go into practice. But if not, then working on it by Sunday. Try to get this stuff kind of like a little bit drilled in by next Friday, if you can, and then see what type of progress you made, what type of questions you have. I would love to go through each map and kind of show you on a positioning, but I just don't have the time to do that, right? So, just try to explore as much as you can on your own, and then see what questions you find when you start giving your team more space, and see what problems you have when that starts happening, and then we'll work from there. Till next time.